Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Reload podcast. Along with Nathan Gilsleider and Marshall Scott, I'm Justin Southwell. We are recording here Tuesday night after yet another loss, so we'll talk a little bit about the Arizona game and then preview the Houston game coming up. So, first off, wanted to touch on the big story. Zane Flores goes down with an injury. Unfortunately, Sam Jackson or Banks Bowen will start against Houston. Guys, I'm kind of expecting to see both of them play at quarterback in some capacity. With Flores being out, does this give you any hope that we can get the offense going a little bit more with a different guy quarterback?
Maybe.
It can't get much
positive.
worse. And again, I'm a Zane defender, but it can't get much worse than it has been. Just the
Yeah,
offense in general.
I'm with you, Marshall. It's one of those things that obviously it's not ideal. You don't ever you're putting first of all, Sam Jackson got a fantastic athlete. Like, that's incredible just to be able to do that. I don't care what level you're able to do that and just, oh yeah, hey, I'll go play quarterback and do this. I realize it's an emergency situation, but still it's pretty impressive. But you're not going to be able to do it without the run game. So like, you're going to have to get some tight ends back and you're going to have to be able to run the ball. And that's not going to be the easiest thing to do against Houston, but like, you just have to. Sam Jackson, what you're looking at with him is you're just going to have to find a way to utilize his athletic ability. Having him just sit back there, 3-5 step drop, try to read these defenses, it's just not going to be fair to him, and it's not a realistic thing to ask of him. So what I'm expecting would be a lot of quick game, easy 1-2 reads, maybe even half field reads, and then allow him to utilize his legs. And even if that's just rolling out to make the linebacker pull up to allow him an easier read, you don't always have to use the legs just to run. That's what Houston's going to do. They're going to do very similar things to what they've done to Zane and just say, you're going to have to beat us over the top. We're not going to let you just sit here and run the ball right at us or whatever it may be. So he throws a great ball. It comes out very quick. His release is very quick. I don't know. It reminds me a lot of Michael Vick. I mean, I'm not saying he's Michael Vick, but just like the wrist release where he throws it, it's just a nice tight ball. I can see why Coach Meacham liked him a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just a kind of an unrealistic ask of like, hey, here's 35, 40 plays. I think they said they had like a 7-play package this last game. So I would imagine anything from 15 to 25 is probably a reasonable ask, maybe 30, depending on what they are. With the headset communication from the coaches, they're able to give them some more information of like, hey, on this one, this is your read. Boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. So who knows? But I do think from an athletic standpoint, it's at least intriguing. But and Banks Bowen actually looked okay. I mean, didn't really get much of a chance, but he showed some athleticism and things like that. So who knows?
Yeah, you mentioned at the top that the running game's got to get going. None of this really matters unless the running game gets going. I think hopefully Sam Jackson maybe opens up that running game a little bit, just with his ability to run. Maybe on his own read, that outside backer is going to stay, so he's the running back's going to have a little more room. I hope. I guess that's your hope. The floor stuff was really unfortunate. I watched it all happen pretty much. I watched him run off because it was either third or fourth down, so he's running off the field. Guys are trying to like tap him on the head when he gets to the sideline, and he's just like not lifting his arm. People are like trying to like tattle on him. He's like holding them off. He goes and sits down for a second. A couple people come over, goes right into the medical tent. Was in there for like a minute and a half. Pops out and goes back to the locker room. So certainly wasn't looking good. As far as Sam Jackson goes, Meacham said on Monday that this is his first week actually in quarterback meeting rooms and stuff like that. That he had just been meeting with Meacham for like 20 or 30 minutes here and there. So now he's like full blown quarterback. Meacham sort of, is acting as if, is it Sam Jackson? Is it Banks Bowen? I think most of us expect it to be a much heavier dose of Sam Jackson. But yeah, just super unfortunate. Meacham also got asked about Noah Walters, the guy who was at North Alabama, was a student at UCF and then joined the program, midstream here. Just basically sounds like he's not ready yet. Could be, down the road, could be ready, but whenever you have a guy join in the middle of the season, especially a quarterback, that's just sort of unrealistic to say, hey, after 2 weeks, do you think you can be ready? So And then Haas, according to Meacham, Haas still wants to play. I think that's as the season continues to, happen and sort of you see where things are. I think everybody's got to make the best decision for them. Even if Haas is going to stay at Oklahoma State, it might get to a point where it's like, hey, Haas, it's probably not worth throwing you out there. Like if that's how this happens, but sounds like a really fiery, competitive kid. So, maybe there is a world where he gets back. But yeah, Oklahoma State certainly struggling at the quarterback spot.
Well, and to your point, Marshall, there's a couple ways to go about it with Haas now that we have this 4-game rule and things like that, right? So if he comes back, let's just say, it doesn't look like it, but let's just say Cincinnati. If he came back for the Cincinnati game, he decided to play 3 games, and then maybe Zane's okay. He finishes out the last 2, and then Haas could play the bull. Well, never mind. But
ouch.
I was like, no, he could play the bowl, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's not gonna. Oh, the bowl. Yeah.
No, but I mean, just to your point there, you might be on right there, right? It's like, hey, let's just hold him out to like the last 3, and then just let him go, and then get that going into this or whatever it may be. There's a couple ways to go about it, and honestly, at the end of the day, it's a Haas Haney call. He sounds like from the way that Coach Meacham talks about him is the same reason kind of why when you saw him on the field, you're like, ooh, this might be a dude, like ultra competitive, just wants to go out there with his guys, loves football. That's all he knows. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of things he's talking about. Maybe that seems to be kind of why people are so high on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the 4-game thing applies because this would be a medical that he's after because he's already taken his normal red shirt. So I don't know that if he comes back, he could get a medical, if that makes sense. I'm honestly just not sure of the rule.
There's a certain percentage. I can't remember what that percentage is on that year to even apply for it. It might be 30%, 35, somewhere. It's something like that of snaps played that you can apply for it. Yeah, so you're right. So it may not even be, but at the same time, he still has 3 more years. And so even if you were to use this couple games, that could still be invaluable to him from a experience standpoint. And as we talked about, even if he doesn't want to stay at Oklahoma State, he doesn't have any film. He's got to get film. And so just from a competitor and a future standpoint, I don't even know that sitting out is his best option. Certainly not the best option for Oklahoma State. And selfishly, you want to see him out there, but it's going to be really interesting.
I'm curious to know your thoughts on. We had been basically told throughout the entire offseason, it's quarterback competition, real tight. Haas Haney, Zane Flores, neck and neck, different skill sets, but essentially a coin flip as far as who's going to start and who's going to lead the team. I know that we only saw a quarter against UT Martin, and it was UT Martin. But is there a chance if Haas comes back that it's just more of the same, or do you really expect it to be a lot better?
I think there is a world, and I lean on the side of like Haas is actually better. Haas was actually better all along, but I think that there is a world where it's like, okay, he got the script game 1 against an FCS team, and so I'm a little cautious of that, but just seeing what I've seen with my own 2 eyes this year, I can't imagine that Haas doesn't provide them something a little bit more.
We've talked about this, and I agree with that point, Marshall. That's a valid point. But the 2 plays that he made were off schedule. Football is a game that's played off schedule at least half the time. 11 guys doing their job correctly on every play does not happen very often. A guy gets through, a wide receiver doesn't run his correct route, or whatever it may be. It's up to the quarterback to make them right. And you saw a lot of that in this last game in Arizona. Our defensive line was all over Fafita, but he stayed calm. Guys were on him all day, made a run around, boom, guy's wide open, right? So I think that's the difference there when you're looking at a guy like Haas. Yes, that was FCS opponent, that was 2 drives, so forth and so on. But he increases your margin of error as an offense because he makes one guy miss. He could take it 60 yards. He makes one guy miss, that's 30 yards. You turn your back on him in man coverage, boom. Because I have seen a lot of growth in the offensive line. Like, they are playing significantly better than they were, and they have gotten better every single game. I know you're a Zane defender, but there's just not really been there's not been anything over the last 3 or 4 games that been like, ooh, yeah, I think I can work with that and we can keep moving forward. And I'm not trying to slight the kid on his ability or anything like that, but he just hasn't shown anything in these opportunities. Basically they've been daring him to beat him deep, and that's what we've been told that he's good at. And he just is having a very difficult time connecting on these balls. And he's just athletic enough to get away when he needs to get away, and so that's good. But the difference between that and like, hey, he could really hurt us, so we cannot call this defense or whatever that may be. There's a big difference in that, and so I'm willing to live with that upside of what could be, just from an athletic standpoint of what that could do for an entire offense. And as you guys know, and you can see it, man, when a kid comes in and makes plays, like, it lifts everybody's spirits up. Like, all of a sudden the wide receivers feel good because they think there's a real chance they could get the ball, and now they're running harder on the routes and doing all the things, and so the team needs that desperately right now.
All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we liked and disliked with the Arizona game. I think we can start with some of the things we disliked and then end on some positive notes. So to start it off, Marshall, I got to call it out because you brought it up in your 10 thoughts. First downs, not good. Cowboys had 21 first down plays Saturday, and those 21 plays, the Pokes gained 22 yards. That's not winning football. And on top of that, to Nathan's point, you were just talking about the team's daring Zane to beat him deep. It's supposed to be one of his strong points. We were in third and long situations almost every chance we turned around. You would think, here's a chance to launch one deep. Multiple times that game on third and long, Zane hits the shallow crosser route about a yard past the line of scrimmage. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand the decision making, what he's seeing, what he's thinking. And a lot of times they're even covered, so they're just getting tackled immediately. It was just really frustrating to see from an offensive perspective, where this is our chance. Like, whenever everybody's like giving Wendell Gregory a hard time for not just falling on the ball, no, I want you to scoop and score, because our offense can't do anything. It's like our only chance to score right now is somebody on defense has to do something, and they just weren't doing anything.
Yeah, Jim Knowles calls them country balls and city balls. You fall on city balls, you try and scoop country balls. I think that it might have not been fully out in the country, but that's at least on the outskirts of town. I was cool with him scooping.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's an athlete, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's different than your big boy. Like, all right, buddy, just fall down. Like, he can scoop and run away from you. So, to your point, Justin, I think that's probably the most disheartening part about the quarterback maturation process here. You're not even really giving yourself a chance to have success or get momentum going when you continue to dump it off on 3rd and 11 for a 2-yard gain or whatever it may be. And you can see that the route combinations are going much deeper than that. And, there for a little bit, like, I saw kind of like his internal clock was moving a little bit too fast. Like, he actually had some decent pockets and he stepped into a sack, and he had some decent pockets. He's like, oh, I just got to dump it off or whatever it may be. And I mean, for various reasons, I get it, but just not comfortable enough to really sit back and just let it rip, man. Like, you just got to let it go at some point and live with it, because you're not moving the ball. I'd much rather tell you whoa than tell you sick 'em. And right now it's like you're driving, like, hey, come on, big guy. Like, we need you. You don't ever want to be in that. And some of that's mental. Honestly, I think some of that, I don't want to say like he's still thinking about Oregon, but I think with as poorly as it went against Oregon, I wouldn't, it's definitely not a positive day. And he really hasn't gotten better since then. Like you said, 7 first downs on the day, only 158 total yards of offense. Like, that's just not acceptable. And you win the turnover battle, and you only have 4 penalties and you still lose by, close to 30 points.
Yeah, I'm not good at math, but it was a lot.
It's like, yeah. So, yeah, you know what I mean?
It's 28.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's probably the most disheartening part for me is just, I don't even know if we've got good wide receivers. There's not too many chances you're giving them to go make a play for you because you're not really giving them an opportunity. And I realized, what I don't know what game that was, but they started out with some drops. But ever since then, it's never really like, are we just not going to give them a chance? Like, buddy, you can't live without them. We got to do this. And yeah, so that's one of the things that was really disheartening about that game.
Yeah, I'll go back to Justin's point on first downs. That's not helping the offense at all. That's not, the running game is a part of that first down thing. Working out of, 2nd and 6 for Zane, I'd imagine. You hit a shallow crosser on 2nd and 6, things are looking all right. So yeah, the first downs were dreadful. The running game was not good. We talked about, Arizona has a good run defense. So they obviously just sort of cranked that up and said, "Hey, Zane beat us." Not a ton of, and I'm not using this as a defense of Zane because, like I said, it's the proof is sort of in the pudding at that point. But not a ton of separation still out there with the receivers. So it's just like nothing is totally working. We clown on the 3rd and long draws, but how about a 3rd and short halfback pass? That's when the defense would least expect it, I'd imagine. But yeah, that looked excruciatingly bad in hindsight after it didn't work. But yeah, the offense has just got to figure anything out at this point.
And so for some positives, while they did give up a lot of yards on defense, we saw some improvements on the defense, particularly in run defense. They held Arizona to 45 yards on 33 carries, 1.4 yards per carry. You got something maybe to hang your hat on moving forward with Clint Bowen as the new defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Forced 3 turnovers. One of them was a pick 6. Like you said, could have had another one when we were trying to scoop and score there. 6 sacks, 11 TFLs total.
Yeah. 11 tackles for loss might be,
yeah, there was I can't remember
with Arizona. Like Arizona had about as many.
Yep.
So we're looking like a good defense again.
And some of those in Coach Bowen talked about it, right? Like he's changing a little bit of how he wants them to tackle, and some of them were just missed tackles. And that's going to come. Some of them, he said on a couple coverages he called that he probably shouldn't have, that they haven't repped enough. But I felt like in total, I felt like the countenance of the defense was quite a bit different. Like the defensive line was really getting after it. And, you're playing a lot of young guys on the back end now with some of these departures and some of these guys at safety and DB. It's not going to turn into 2021 anytime soon. But I do think that you will see marked improvement from here on out, because even just from a run perspective, like they just weren't gashing us, and they weren't leaving one-on-one tackles in space with guys. And so that from that point, and I also like their attitude. Like I said, I felt like they were flying around a little bit better. I felt like guys were getting after it, weren't giving up. There was no give up on Saturday. And so, some of it you got to tip your hat to Fafita and Spivey. Like those two guys just made plays. And sometimes that's what it just comes down to, right? You had them flustered, rolling out, 2 guys coming after him, and 6 seconds to cover. Somebody's going to come open. He doesn't even throw that great of a ball, and Spivey goes and reaches out. Great hand catch. Does that a couple times. It's like, that's football. He's a good quarterback. That's just going to happen every now and then. Obviously, it happened more than you'd like, but I at least like the pressure that they were getting, and some of the things that they were trying to do. I do feel like they really went away from a lot of these disguises and disguise blitzes and things like that we had gotten just absolutely hammered on. We didn't give up a wheel route touchdown, which that is awesome. Thank you so much, because that was driving me nuts. But obviously unacceptable at the end of the day on the scoreboard, but you did see things that you can at least say, okay, in under a week, there's a difference in these areas, and hopefully they continue to grow.
Yeah, it's sort of like you mentioned. There was the opportunity to make more plays that time. That Fafita runs all over the backfield before finding a guy and scoring a touchdown on that play. Like that's a play that should have been dead right there. You hope next week it is a play that just ends whenever the guys get to the quarterback. So yeah, like the marked improvement from the defense. I didn't go back and watch because I was traveling all day Sunday, and like who really wants to go back and watch a 41-13 game? But it just felt like, given the numbers, that like run fits and just general pressure moving as one has maybe started to happen for the first time in like 2 years. So that's a marked improvement. And then Wendell Gregory, holy crap, this guy's so good at football. We mentioned the scoop that wasn't, but he forces a fumble. He's like living in the backfield. He's been like perfectly reading zone reads too. He's just like tossing whatever offensive lineman is coming in him and just like engulfing quarterbacks instantly. So yeah, I continue to just be super impressed with Wendell Gregory.
Yeah, he's got so many tools that are so projectable too, which is what I love, right? Like, he's lean, but he's very long, and like, you're like, is he that big? It's like, he's pretty freaking big, and you probably, that before he leaves college, he's probably gonna put on another 40 pounds. Like, that's how much his frame is. Like, he can bend. Like, he's got great side bend, just super athletic, a lot stronger than he looks. He can really hold guys off and then dip and rip. And there's just so much to like about his game. Like, I'm just like, please, for the love, do whatever it takes to keep this kid. Cause like, he's like Agba type. Like, you're going to put him over there and you're going to have to worry about him. And we haven't had that in a long time as an edge rusher, probably since Agba, honestly, that you're really like, hey, this guy, you need to put a running back on the side and chip because he's coming. And we need one badly, and he needs to stay because his growth opportunity is through the roof.
Yeah, I think the bend sort of reminds me of Colin a little bit, but it's like Colin with a more developed body. We all love Colin Oliver, but I think it's safe to say that Wendell Gregory is physically maybe a little bit more gifted than Colin was. So
yeah, for sure.
I think there's some crafty stuff that maybe Colin did a little bit better at towards the end of his OSU career. But I get some Colin Oliver, Micah Parsons-esque stuff that you see with Wendell Gregory, and it's just like OSU needs to just be like, okay, half of the salary cap is just going to this guy. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, I mean, honestly, I do think it is one of those things that you as a GM or whoever it's going to be, or as a coach, like, big dog, you're my cornerstone on this defense for the next 2 years before you go to the NFL, or 1 year, whatever it may be, because like he possesses that type of ability. He's the kind of kid that you can legitimately say, like, you will be as good as you want to be. If you want to turn into a grinder, like, you're going to be a first or second round draft pick. That's just the ability that he's got. We haven't had that in a long time.
We haven't had in a while because nobody has been consulting with Brewster Consulting Group. If you had been, you would have been in this position. But alas, the Reload podcast is brought to you by Brewster Consulting Group. Do any of these sound familiar at your company? Our processes are manual and inefficient with no documentation. Our data reporting takes forever and isn't accurate. We hear all the hype about AI, but have no clue what it actually means for our business. Our projects always run over time and over budget. If so, talk with our friends at Brewster Consulting Group. They help build organizations that run like well-oiled machines with clear processes, reliable data and reporting, and technology that actually works for you. Their team of Six Sigma Black Belts, PMP certified project managers, and seasoned data engineers have delivered solutions that are built to last for local clients like the Tulsa International Airport and Medify. They've also delivered solutions for large international enterprises like DP World. Even better, Brewster was founded and is run by a proud OSU alum and season ticket holder. Learn more about them at www.brewsterconsulting.com, or learn more about their methodologies by connecting with them at Brewster Consulting Group on LinkedIn or YouTube. All right, guys, let's transition over to Houston. We are recording a little bit early, so we're just going to do the one podcast this week, and we want to preview the Houston game. What are some keys to potentially winning at home against Houston?
The Fighting Willie Fritzes. Whenever I look at it, we don't know what to expect from offense, right? Like, you can't really say, like, hey, hang your hat on this. So it's got to start with the defense. It's got to start with just keeping everything in front of you. They're not a super explosive offense. They're not something, that you're like, oh man, they're going to put 55 on us. I say that. might. But, you just haven't seen that from this year. They're a very well-coached team. They do a lot of things very well, but they have not just been unbelievably explosive on offense. So, keep everything in front of you, continue to stop the run. That's a big part of really winning any game, but especially for a team that, we're so thin right now at so many positions, and you're looking at ways to, maybe pull off something. One of the biggest things is going to be is stopping the run and continuing to do that and getting them in predictable and manageable situations and winning that turnover battle. And these are all things that we did against Arizona, and we gave up some of those obviously massive chunk yards in the passing game that we need to clean up. But we got to continue to grow in that way and continue to get pressure on the quarterback. So for me, it starts with defense. And I know that's kind of crazy to sound with as poorly as they've played and as many points as they've given up to this point on the year. But with so many unknowns on the offensive end and as poorly as it's been, like, defense at least has to keep them in the game to give them an opportunity and continue to show us signs of growth.
I think there's a good as a shot of any right now because Houston's pass protection is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the country. So now's the time to bring pressure, get to the quarterback, who it might be their backup quarterback. It sounds like. I mean,
I think it sounds like he's going to play. It sounds like he's going to.
Sounds like he might come back and play. Mild concussion, but no, I think Houston's pass protection is not the best. So if you build off what you did last week, where you're able to stop the run, and then maybe this week you're able to get some pressure on the quarterback and maybe get some coverage sacks and things like that, our defense is maybe going to start getting a little bit more confidence and going into some of these other games as we go through the season here. But Houston, I don't know that are they the easiest team left on the schedule from your point of view, as far as I know Kansas State's kind of maybe like Cincinnati, I used to think was going to be an easier game, but they look pretty stout now, and they just knocked off Iowa State. So Houston might be one of your only chances to potentially get another win. Like it's not looking good. It's looking more and more like 1-11 the further we go into the season.
Yeah, it's a little rough whenever, last week we talked about, hey, what if this, group gets some turnovers? A pick six would go crazy for this group. And they did all that and lost by 28. So it's like, I don't know what, I don't know what the answer is. You mentioned like the Houston offense hasn't been, world beaters at this point. They're ranked 88th nationally in total offense, 79th in scoring offense. So that is the line of, if Oklahoma State is going to win, they're going to have to, play really well defensively. For the offense, I think they, UCLA beat Penn State this past weekend by like controlling the ball. They had like 15 minutes more time of possession than Penn State did. So Oklahoma, I think, if Oklahoma State's going to upset one of these teams and win one of these games, the running game's going to have to get going so they can sort of chew some clock. The running game has been good at this point, but I think Oklahoma State has only outpossessed UT Martin and Oregon. And the Oregon one is funny because Oregon, couldn't possess the ball because they were too busy scoring touchdowns. So yeah, I guess that is the route to victory. It's just tough. It's just really tough. I think, maybe UCF is the worst team left. But the last time Oklahoma State was at UCF, didn't go well. So
if we do have tight ends, like if we can get two of the tight ends back, if you can get to where you can at least have a 2 tight end set or at least a 1 tight end set and not worry about him getting hurt, I do think we can run the ball. I mean, we've shown signs of that. And honestly, like we now actually have a quarterback that if you do the zone read, it might actually affect them, which would be nice.
Zane was running tough for what it's worth. It wasn't.
No, he was. No, absolutely. But I'm just saying, like, as a defensive end, you're not worried about him, like, getting, okay, he might get a 4 or 5 yard gain.
Yeah. All right. I'll turn around and tackle him 2 yards behind.
Right. And so it's like you're legitimately like, if you read this wrong, and you let Sam Jackson go in space, like this could be a house call, especially if they're running man on the back end, or you know what I'm saying? Like you just don't know. And that's something that you put in with Sam Jackson. He can do that. He can do the runs, right? You can a whole package of run sets. He knows how to turn around and hand it off, or shotgun, whatever he's more familiar with, or, pistol, whatever he did in high school, that he's been doing. I mean, I think he only played quarterback 1 year in high school because I don't think he played COVID year. So who knows what he's familiar with. But you find something that he's good at and comfortable with handing off. I would imagine it'd probably be the shotgun, sitting there with the ball out front, looking at the defensive end, pull, give, go with it. So those are, to your point, Marshall, like those are the type of things that have to happen. You're going to have to hit a few balls over the top. They're just going to beg you to do it. And he throws a beautiful ball. So I'm not saying he can't, but we just have to wait to see it.
Yeah. So somebody asked Meacham on Monday, like what he saw in him coming out of high school. And he said like his high school film was ridiculous. So I went back and watched it on Monday. I watch way too much huddle highlight reels, way more than most people. Most of those things have like 12 views on them and 8 of them are me. Sam Jackson had like his junior highlight reel up like 3 different times, and one of them had like 15,000 views. One of them had like 38,000 views. I was like, sheesh. So
Wow.
if you're in the mood, just Google Sam Jackson huddle and it'll pop up. So it's good stuff. He's got a deep ball in him. I haven't felt good about the receiving core to this point in the year. So I don't know. I'm just a little down on the receivers right now.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. But I think at this point you have to give him an opportunity. Like we don't have any other choices. You know what I mean? Like, has anybody really stepped up? Not really, for various reasons. We in their defense, we have had some beat deep, and we just haven't connected. As you know, Justin, like some of this is you just got to get your mojo going. Like some of this is just pure confidence. Like you see a couple balls completed deep, not everybody starts feeling good. Guys are, making difficult catches, whatever it may be. But somebody has got to step up. It's kind of funny. You kind of get in these grooves, and it kind of looks this way. It's like, well, it has to be a perfect ball. And it's like, well, no, the wide receiver's job is to catch really anything that comes close to him. And then that helps the confidence of the quarterback. And then he's more willing to let it rip. And then he will throw those perfect balls. And so it's this symbiotic relationship that we have not, this complementary football that we have not found at any point this season, whether it be offense to pass to run, whether it be deep ball, intermediate game, because in order to get the middle of the field open, what do? You have to take the top off, so there's all these things. And a lot of these teams are going to play too high shell. That's going to say, hey, if you're going to do this, we're going to play too high shell. You're going to have to run it, and you're going to have to do these things. Well, we haven't been able to do that. And then the one times you do play one high or man across the board, you have to beat them. Like there's just no options to it. And that's just what we have to do. There's no like, well, if not this, like we have to do these things.
I think one of the biggest problems that we've had in association with that is, as you know, Nathan, a lot of this is based on timing. I think Flores, Haney, probably anybody playing quarterback in practice, they've benefited from playing against our defense. And then whenever you get against an actually good defense, then it looks a little bit different. Your timing is off at the quarterback position. Your clock's going off a little bit quicker. Your routes maybe aren't looking as crisp, and you're not getting as open. So that's a little bit of an indictment, I think, on the team overall. But man, you gotta start with something. You gotta start fighting back. So we are in a little bit of a bind because we're probably going to see more of the same, where timing just isn't there because got another quarterback coming in. But sometimes it's just about being an athlete and making plays. So
yeah, I think that's it, right? I think that's probably even more important why you get him some quick game, like 4 to 5 sets where it's like setback, drop, setback, boom, get it out of your hands, and get that timing started. We just got to find a way to move the football. I don't, even honestly, it's even one of those things too, where it's like with what we have now, do you put in a sub package of Wildcat to allow Sam Jackson to get off the ball? And you know what I'm saying? Like you're going to have to start finding, which we know we have a little bit of Wildcat in there. So you're just going to have to get creative. It sucks. I mean, the coaches are in a terrible position. I mean, honestly, let's just take the OSU hats off for a second and be like, who has it worse than we do at the quarterback position? How does this keep happening every freaking year?
That's crazy.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, I don't understand how do they keep getting hurt?
Mason Rudolph was the GOAT.
I mean, it's the same strength coach. I don't get it. I mean, it's just terrible luck. That's just really what it comes down to. It's just terrible luck.
Sure.
Some of it is with younger kids. They don't know when to get down. They continue to, on some of these things, when they do get hit, there is a way to taking sacks and knowing when you are going to get sacked and just kind of giving it up and rolling over. There's an art to that too. So, which comes with time. And so you see a lot with some of these younger kids taking unnecessary shots or, not necessarily, knowing when to throw it away. And so you see all these things. We saw it some with Spencer, even when he had bad O-lines. And so when he would try to run away or something, somebody would roll up on his ankle or do one of these things rather than just, hey man, just get it out of your hands, live to fight another day. We haven't figured it out for quite some time.
This is a off track at this point, but do we think that when do we think Spencer's going to be accepted back into the fold? Because he is still the last quarterback who's.
All right, let's go ahead and go over to uniform preview.
I don't. Fiesta Bowl reunion.
All right, I'll be there.
2031.
I think there's just so much. Well, I shouldn't say that. With Coach Gundy gone, there's a better opportunity. Honestly, I think there's a hopeful we can get Chuba back, to celebrate his 2,000-yard season.
I meant to go look. There's no way that many people have not won the Doak Walker while running for 2,000 yards in a year. There's just
he should have won it that year, by the way.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But you're right. So I think that some of these things are going to start happening, and the kids do love the school, right? But it's just a lot of animosity in other areas. So hopefully that changes.
Yeah, I haven't given it much thought, but that dynamic with Gundy being gone, it probably does change things to an extent. So
I think even I think even that Gundy and Spencer should get along. They won a Fiesta Bowl together. I get it. I totally get it. But
they should.
There's so many rumors and what actually happened there at the end and what was said and what wasn't. And I want to come back. I don't want to come back. We don't want you. We don't. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what the truth is? All I know is that it had to be pretty bad in order for you to go to Ole Miss to back up Jackson Dart rather than actually come and play your last year at Oklahoma State. Like, just think about that for a second. Like, he never played another down. Well, he played a couple, but you get my point. Like, a meaningful down of football. Like, that's how bad it was. Whatever happened. Not good. He deserved better than that, but he also made some poor decisions. So
I hope everybody's happy in the end.
ELE. Everybody love everybody.
There you go. All right. Speaking of uniforms, since I mentioned it earlier, that was all me. All right. Uniform preview. Actually, let's back up. Uniform review. So white, orange, white, brand. Pretty sure Nathan called that straight up.
I think I even called it to the stripe. I'm pretty sure.
To the stripe? Nailed it. And
so I'm done for the year.
Look. Good classic look. Marshall, you even got your white pants. So straight classic. How are you feeling about it? Good look all around?
I think white, orange, white, it's hard to go wrong with, unless you just wear it like 3 times in a row. Then it might get a little old. But I think that one's a tough one to. I don't think anybody's ever going to be mad. Oh, this random game they're going white, orange, white. It was the Sean McGuire, the SID for Oklahoma State. He was going back and looking. He got as far as the start of the Pat Jones era. That Oklahoma State has not worn any color but white on the road before. So at least since Pat Jones was the coach, they haven't worn orange on the road.
Yeah, because we were trying to find something along those lines for that statistic, and I even reached out to Doug Shivers. He knows all that stuff. Didn't know, so which is understandable. It's going quite a ways back. That's pretty crazy. That this happens from time to time. Home teams will decide to wear white, and then the away team gets to wear their home colors, and like that never happens against OSU for some reason. So it was interesting and kind of cool that we were able to do that. But thoughts on Arizona's uniforms with the red, white, alternate Arizona logo on their helmet?
It's not terrible. I think it'd pop a lot better at night. Honestly, it's tough.
You'd be right. I wasn't a big fan of that red helmet. I'm just not.
It was like an off-white too.
It wasn't like a pure snow white. Yeah, there was something about it.
But
I don't know. They beat us. Who cares?
That's true. It's hard to care about uniforms whenever we're getting beat like this.
No, I'm just kidding.
Not
But
gonna lie.
it was okay. I think Arizona. I like Arizona's red. Like that red and blue's a pretty nice combo. So when they got away from it, I'm like,
yeah. The uniform preview now. Going over to the Houston matchup, and we wore white, orange, white. So I would expect maybe to see a black jersey to offset that a little bit. I think the last time we played Houston was on the road, 2023. We wore white, white, black. I think we might do kind of an inverted version of that. I'm going to go with black, black, white, and I'll go with the black cursive Cowboys helmet. I think that would look pretty clean.
I'm sort of leaning just because it's an 11 a.m. kick, so I'm a little worried about the heat. No, they wore orange. I was going to say
Dreamsicle?
I was going to say white, orange, but surely not. I think you're probably right. Maybe I'll go something. No, I don't want to go something crazy. I was going to go white, orange, black, and just go like absolutely off the wall. But
that's what I was going to.
Also, I don't want to steal you. I'm going to go with my original guess.
Oh no,
white, orange. I'm going to go white, orange, cursive.
I like that. That's classic. Tony Lindsay.
I will say too.
I'm going Patriot Pete now because they wore cursive the last home game. So I'm going to go
Patriot Pete in a while.
Yeah.
Right. I was going to say the next game will be homecoming, and more than likely we would wear an orange jersey for that game. And we wore orange jersey for this last game. So does that?
I've locked it in.
Change?
I've locked it in.
I've already
said every combination possible, so I'm just going to lock in with
That's not even close to true. You got about 26 more you could go with.
I'm going white, orange.
You bring up a good point, but we've also have seen some like special combinations that we bring out every now and then, like the old school, whatever it may be on homecoming. So I'm going to go off the wall with a white, orange, black with. I feel like we're going to bust out a cursive pokes at some point. I don't know if it's this game. So I'm going to go cursive Cowboys instead because we went classic logo, no stripe. I'm going no stripe on the helmet. Pure white.
The last white, orange, black was Cincy 23.
2020 with the triple stripe.
Yeah, those are big.
3 different color stripes. Fuzzy Pete.
Yeah, that was a big guy from George Fox. What was his name?
Leon Johnson.
Leon Johnson. He killed him on some deep balls. In the mist.
Yeah.
In the mist of Boone Pickens.
That was like peak Ollie mania. That was what a time to be alive.
Yeah, that was a Here Comes 65. Oh my gosh, he did it. That and the West Virginia game on the road. I think that was the game where like, they kept scoring and then he would just break off another long one and you're just like,
black, white, orange.
Oh my gosh, this kid cannot be stopped.
I don't think they tackled Ollie in the fourth quarter of that game.
I don't think I legitimately think you're right. I don't think they did.
So remind me again, white, orange, black with the cursive Cowboys with no stripes.
I'm not ready to say pokes yet, but yes.
I'd be really surprised if we end up with a cursive pokes helmet. I would say that's
it's fan favorite. It's 11 a.m. We need it. Give them a reason to show up.
Oh man, give them a reason. All right. Let's go over to some questions in the chamber. Chamber questions. NY Cowboy. What are the biggest differences you've seen since Gundy and Grantham were let go? Did the defensive scheme seem to shift at all last week? Also, what's the highest impact offensive area that could still be fixed this season? Obviously, we aren't getting a new offensive line or quarterback, but would a scheme change or a focus of quicker passes be helpful?
Yeah, I think to some extent, and they are, in some ways, Oklahoma State is getting a new quarterback because just about every week Oklahoma State's getting a new quarterback, and they added one midseason. So, yes, Nathan mentioned quick passing game throughout this podcast. As far as what's the biggest difference has been, there's definitely been differences with the offense. I think that was much more notable the Baylor game than it was this past game, just because nothing was working in Arizona. So it didn't look different. It didn't look the same. It was just bad. But defensively, I think things have definitely, like we discussed earlier, taken an uptick. So I think it's crazy to think that everything's just going to change overnight and that everything's going to be different going into this next game. But if the defense can build a little bit on that, then maybe by the end of this, it's it's at least looking like some competitive football is being played.
Yeah, no, I think the main thing I've noticed is the sidelines appear to be a little bit more live. You've got some coaches jumping around, including your head coach and your OC and DC. I saw, Coach Bowen really trying to get in there and celebrate with Fields after he made that pick 6, which is, you'd love to see it, man. Like, that's really what it's all about. I mean, I'm not just saying like winning, but we know you want to win football. But at the end of the day, like, as Justin knows, man, like that's the bread and butter, dude. Like, you're sitting over there celebrating with your teammates, the vibe you get, you can feel it, and the kids need something good to happen, and that's just kind of what you see. That's what you look at. That's kind of the difference.
That's the emphasis that
They're
Meacham
right.
is bringing into the table. It's having fun, and that doesn't mean just let's go throw some trick plays out and have some fun in that way. It's about like celebrating these moments and making sure that we're going to lose some games, but we're going to get through it together by having fun in this way.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I've seen so far from the coaches. It's just really trying to let the kids that have decided to stick around are in it because they love it and they bought in, right? I think Coach Bowen had this awesome quote. He was like, it was Confucius or something like that. He's like, he's like, there was a man that's complaining about not having any shoes until he met a man with no feet. And I was like, awesome. Like, that's a football coach right there.
Yeah, it was cool seeing Bowen, because like post game, it's at this point, it's okay if a coach comes into post game and is like, well, like, because given all of the stuff that's going on, Bowen was like, you could tell he was like sort of pissed still. And I was like, all right, I love it. I like that. So that was nice.
And to your point, Marshall, like, that's the thing oh baby, Yankees are on top.
I just refreshed and it's still saying 6-6. So
no, baby, it's 7-6.
Start spreading the news.
Yeah. Anyways, I love that the coaches are talking, like, multiple, right? Because to your point, Marshall, like, you could feel the pain in the upset, how upset he was, but you could also feel like how much pride he has in the guys that have stuck around, and he's going to go to war with them, and he's going to fight. And as a fan, as somebody who loves this university, as somebody who's been through it as well, like, I'm going to keep showing up as long as I know that you care that much. I think that was such a big missed opportunity in the past with Coach Gundy and some of the decisions that he makes. There's always like the negative side of it that people are like, well, you're going to get in there and bust them up and do all these things. It's like, honestly, if you just would talk from your heart and let people know, like, Grantham maybe would have had an opportunity that people have been like, hey, I get where he's coming from, some of these things, but we never had that chance. And so I love this. This is hopefully what we're going to be doing moving forward. And that's off the field, but that's just another part of the changes that I hope that we continue to use as a university, because we need to update that. We need to allow kids to talk more. We need to allow our coaches to be held accountable, good and bad. It's not always negative when you're held accountable. You ask a question, you're actually going to get an answer of like, hey, what happened here? It's like, I called the wrong coverage, or hey, I had him right. It was a bust in the back end, or whatever it may be. We deserve more, and I'm really glad that the coaches, because we actually have 2 coaches right now that are great listens. And so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Meacham is awesome. You never really know what he's going to say. Somewhat similar to Gundy,
he's the exact same. But he's the exact same as he was whenever, 87 years ago, whenever I was there. Like, that's the exact same coach. And so I love it. I absolutely love it.
He walked into Monday's press conference. So like we're all sitting, like, waiting on him to come in at noon. And like he walked in and just double peace signed everybody. That was how he entered the door. I was like,
he's got flow. He's got nice flow. He's, got the baseball hat on. He's just shooting it. He's got the pistol on the hip. He's just letting it rip. And I love it, man.
Speaking of guys that make you want to run through a wall, did you happen to see the Noah McKinney video I posted?
Oh, dude,
yes,
love
so
it.
Good.
Let's go.
Love it.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't, YouTube, pistols firing on the YouTube, and
I tweeted the clip out too. So
yeah, so those 2, it makes
that just gave me a new life after.
Yeah, it did, right? It's just like,
yeah. I didn't know what I was gonna. I just asked him. I was like, "What's it?" So because obviously crazy week last week, I was like, "So what is it like being in a locker room? You know, you got guys in the portal, you got guys shutting it down. Just like what's that like?" And he sort of started to talk, and then he like literally just stopped for a second, and it was just silence for like 5 seconds as he's like gathering thoughts, and then he goes, "Guys want to be here, and guys still want to play for Oklahoma State and still represent the brand of what Oklahoma State is. Just because Coach Gundy is gone doesn't mean we can't represent Oklahoma State football, can't represent what Oklahoma State football is, and do it. So for the guys that are still here." And doing it, we're just gonna fight and battle our butts off. But he didn't say butts to the end. He said, then he said, "We know we're all," because then I was like, "Does that bring this group closer together? The guys that are still here and fighting?" And he said, "Yeah, that we all know what we're fighting for, the same purpose, for the same thing. There's nothing else we can do other than fight for Oklahoma State University and just be the best Cowboys we can be." I was like, "Let's effing go, Noah McKinney." So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the type of stuff, like, as a fan, like, man, that juices me up, because there's nothing that sucks us worse than having to go out there knowing or feeling like, hey, man, this could be a long day. But when you have that, that's what you got, right?
Especially as an offensive lineman, where your goal is to just like bash heads with people for 80 plays, and it's like that's my job. So if
that's the
he can get
mentality
that
you
fired
want.
up, if he can get that fired up to do that, then I'm in.
And Meacham also said something, I don't have the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of, "You're playing with these guys 10 years from now, you're going to come back and have a reunion. Are you going to be the guy that we all rally behind, or are you going to be the guy that we pointed out, like, this is the guy that's just complaining all the time and not any fun to be around?" So,
well, and
this is it.
And it's true, right, guys? It sucks. This sucks, right? This is not fun for anybody, fans, players, administration,
People who have to write about the game.
right? Exactly, right? It's not fun. But what you just brought up, Justin, like, that's crucial. There's guys to this day that still hold in their heart that during and just before the Les Miles era, like, they were the foundation. Whether that's true or not, that's what they believe, because they gutted it out through some bad football,
Yeah.
and they hung their hat on, finally getting to a bowl game and doing some things, right? And beating OU twice in 3 years. Those type of things. Like, that's the foundation, right? And I know from my group, like, I truly feel like that group of Brandon Pettigrew, Kendall Hunter, Zach Robinson, young Des Bryant, Russell Okung, Parrish Cox, like, I truly believe that was the foundation of what, and that wasn't always easy, man. Like, we got absolutely smoked by Texas, and there were some, we never beat OU, and there's all those type of things. But what these kids can do right now, especially if they're younger and they're going to be here for the next 2 or 3 years, which we hope a good portion of them are, is right now, as you set up the foundation, like Noah McKinney said, and like, we're here because we love this university, and we're going to come together, and this is the bottom, and we're going to fight as a group, and we're going to become tight knit. And then when we get our new coach and some new players, this is the core as we push forward, right? And that's what you want to see, and that's where you're going to get that's where you're going to get fans that keep showing up at 11 a.m. on a Saturday. That's why we're going to keep showing up. You keep giving us that and telling us that, we're going to keep showing up.
I don't know the question that started this, so we're already way off topic. But Parrish Cox, one of the most underrated Cowboys of all time.
You're not wrong, by the way. You're not wrong.
An absolute freakazoid.
Okay. Now, and we talked about this last year on the pod, Justin.
Yeah.
Doesn't get enough love in the lore of Oklahoma State football, but having Parrish Cox return kickoffs and Des Bryant do punts at a time where you could crack back block, absolute nightmare fuel.
Parrish Cox also was in there for some punt returns too. Didn't he have one against Colorado?
Yeah, he did return the punt against Colorado. Yeah, for a touchdown. That was the only score we had in the first half.
Oklahoma State got called for a crackback block this weekend, and I sort of didn't hate it. I was like, "Hey,
no, I don't hate it." That's you know what? Honestly, good point, Marshall. That's an error of commission rather than an error of omission. You can live with guys because they're trying really hard for their teammates. You can't live with false start, being off the line of scrimmage, whatever it may be.
Yeah. No, that's.
Was you like that one? Was that funny? I mean, that's a coach speak right there.
It's true though, because that's the kind of stuff where you're like, dude, the stuff boneheaded stuff where you're just
not locked
in, and you're not playing football, versus an actual football play where you're just going to knock somebody's block off. Like, yeah, take a penalty for that. That's all right. Let's maybe fire some guys up. It's kind of like a personal foul whenever you dunk on somebody in basketball and then shove them to the ground after, like flex on them or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a penalty or foul, whatever. But yeah, I got the whole crowd fired up. So that's a lot harder to do whenever you're on the road in that atmosphere, Arizona.
Well, you got to set a tone. Like this
Anybody paying
defense hasn't set a
attention? Yeah.
tone. Like hey man, you know what? If you get a foul because you hit somebody, please.
Parrish Cox, by the way, 10 interceptions as a Cowboy, 6 return touchdowns, 4 punts, 2 kicks. No, 4 kicks, 2 punts.
4 kicks, 2 punts. Yeah, that's right.
He returned his first kickoff ever for a touchdown, right?
I think was that Prentice Elliott. I can't remember.
I think it was like 2005, like the first time he touched the football. It was like returned it.
Now Peacock's is nasty, man, and we scored again. So yeah. I don't know. I don't even know where we're at right now.
I don't either.
Well, let me say this. We kind of went off topic in a way, but we also
answered the next question.
Sort of answered the next question, which I want to give a shout out. Borland57, so thank you for sending in your question. But he asked, how do coaches keep players engaged even themselves during what at times feels like a lost season, recruiting for a program that they very probably won't work for next year and developing players that will likely transfer out? We talked about it a little bit in the same way of like, bring your own juice. And you hear the quote from Noah, and then you got the quote from Coach Meach about what it takes. But to the question here, it makes a great point. Recruiting for a program that you're probably not going to be at, and then developing players that are more than likely going to transfer out. Like, there's some to it, but at the end of the day, you're getting paid to do a job on both sides now because players can get paid too. So,
yeah. I think it's different for players than coaches. Like coaches, when this starts happening, this is when you see coaches sleep at the facility. Like this is when you see coaches that don't go home very much when they should be, because they're just like they're grinding. That's all they can do, and like this is their resume, and you've got to be able to speak to what you did or how you did it or the small wins that you can show. Like we're talking about like offensive line coaches. Like I really hope this offensive line coaching staff stays. Probably won't. I hope they do. But like you need to be able to say like, hey, we did this, and we got better each game. And
they are all younger coaches. So even if they don't stick around for next year, work for Oklahoma State next year, they can point to say like, in the same way that some of these players, you got to put something on tape.
Absolutely.
They have tape now for the guys that, hey, look what we started with. And our offensive line continually got better week over week. We've had some injuries, and we replaced and shuffled some people around and made stuff work. We're clearly good coaches for anybody that wants to take us on.
And also it's a small fraternity. It sounds like, there's a lot of coaches, but it's a small pond, and you're putting this situation in the professionalism that you show and showing up to work every day and grinding for your kids. Like that doesn't go unnoticed. And whether it's at Oklahoma State or somewhere else, like let's say Clint Bowen takes a job somewhere else and they know they need a offensive line coach or whatever it may be. He's like, hey, I know that Coach Mitchell and Coach Bassett have got a little something to them because we were on a 111 football team and they showed up every single day and they stayed late and they did what you had to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So to your point, like it is their job. And
it is their job, but they're also, I didn't mention this earlier, but I probably should have to lead this off with the coaches that are in there, like any coach anywhere. Yes, they're coaching because they want to be a coach, but they're coaching because they were very successful players. And successful players are successful because they are ultra competitive. And when you want to be the best, you're going to do whatever it takes. And even though you're not seeing the results, you're going to keep working so that you can get to that point. And yeah, it seems like it might be a lost season in a way, but man, this is a great time for all of our coaches to grow in this moment. Players, it's a little bit different because you're young, you're figuring stuff out. A lot easier to complain or give up, but it sounds like for the most part, especially with what I heard from one of the players in one of their quotes post-game, they're not giving up. And yes, it sucks right now, but they're still coming at it every day. So it's that competitive fire.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is in talking with Meacham and Bowen post game, they both said something along the lines of like when they got back in the locker room and they like looked in the guy's eyes, they're like, okay, I've got to keep working for these guys. Meacham or not Meacham, Bowen said, I can't remember if he said it's like 11 p.m. or 8 p.m. He gets like a knock on his office door one night. He thinks it's the janitors coming through. He opens it and he said two linebackers. I think the assumption is Brandon Rawls and Brian McCoy, but we didn't really get names. Are there, talking about run fits or something? So there's still a lot of work going on. I think that's like more than admirable. It's just sort of sucks that this is where things are right now.
Yeah. But, again, this is the foundation. And I know that, there's obviously going to be guys that are going to leave and there's going to be things that are going to happen, but there's also going to be a lot of guys that are going to stay and what you're going to build with. Mm-hmm. And so you can't coach like you're going to lose your job. You have to coach like you're going to be here for 20 years and pour into the kids, because at the end of the day, every coach will tell you, at least every coach worth his salt will tell you, I do it because I love pouring into the kids and watching them get better. And that's what breathes life. Because if everything that you do, and this is the same way in all parts of life, but if everything you do in coaching is based off of wins and losses, you're going to be a miserable man or woman.
Yeah.
And so this is where it's tough, but this is where it sinks in on what you do.
Next one here from R11. And if you remember, might be Zach Robinson's burner. And another great question from Zach Robinson here. How many years will it take to recover after these last two seasons?
That's sort of the great part about the portal era, is that it doesn't have to take forever. I don't know that it just instantly flips around. It sort of depends on hit rate in terms of the portal, mm-hmm. like how many guys are you going to hit on in the portal. But if you have a high hit rate in the portal, you can flip this thing around pretty quick. If you don't have a high hit rate, maybe you get some building blocks. Team's a little bit better next year. Hit a couple more, teams a little bit better the next year. But in the modern game, you can turn this thing around pretty quick, especially if Oklahoma State has the money, like it seems that Chad Weiberg is talking about.
Yeah, to your point, Marshall, I think, it's like, hey, if we can keep our young right tackle, if we can keep our young left tackle, if we can keep, our guard and some of these guys.
Wendell Gregory, please.
Right. And so can we keep LaDainian Fields and Wendell Gregory and some of these kids that you can.
And Wendell Gregory again.
And Wendell Gregory again. If we clone him and put him on the other side. But that's when it really becomes realistic. So for me, what is the Oklahoma State standard of you're looking at 9 to 10 wins is what you're it's like, this is what we come accustomed to. Obviously the coach is going to be a big proponent of that, but I think 2 years is within reason. If you've got a quarterback, let's say Hosseini's the guy, you're able to keep him. Like that's a big, big deal. Right. And then you start adding in supplemental pieces. And you keep offensive line coaches and you keep this thing where they actually can start recruiting and some of these proponents. Because I get it, and it's probably a safe assumption that there'll be a good amount of change, but I also don't think that every single coach is going to leave. I don't know. Not every coach. When every coach comes in, they don't always get like full autonomy. Like I'm going to bring in all so forth and so on. Usually can say like, okay, I'll give you 4. And because you're looking at like another $12 million in contracts, I think they said, that you're going to have to eat if you fire every single assistant coach. So I don't think logistically that makes sense. And also just from a standpoint of like a guy like Coach Meach that clearly loves Oklahoma State because of what Oklahoma State means to him, I think it might be important to keep him on staff, whether that's as an inside wide receivers coach again or whatever it may be, or even a guy like we talked about, right? Like Cooper Bassett and Coach Mitchell, guys that they love Oklahoma State and they care about it. So they want to get it turned around because like they don't want it disrespected anymore. Like you need some of those guys to stick around. And whether it's Zach Robinson, who's an Oklahoma State guy coming in, or Eric Morris from North Texas, or whoever it may be, you do need some. You have to have some roots, in my opinion, if you want a quick start. That's just me, but that's kind of how I feel.
We do have them roots. P.E. Polk Last question here. Do we think Sam Jackson V can lead this team to a victory Saturday
against Bixby?
Bixby's pretty.
They're tough.
Yeah, Oklahoma State would win, by the way, but it's a good team.
I think he can. I think he has the ability to do that. Will he? I don't know. That's a pretty tall task, but it's not for lack of ability, as that's, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes when we've gone into some games in the past couple years with backup quarterbacks, you're just like, it's not going to go good. He has the athletic ability. He has the arm. He has the wheels to be able to do anything you need to do on a football field. It's just being able to get it done and have enough people help him out.
The UCLA game has given me a renewed thing that like this is possible, because watching Oklahoma State these last year and a half or whatever it's been, like at no point would I have ever thought, you know what, Oklahoma State could probably beat Penn State, though, could probably catch them on an off day. But now I've got that renewed hope. I don't think it's likely that Oklahoma State wins on Saturday. I think Sam Jackson's going to do fine. I think, his legs bring a new dynamic, but it's going to be tough just because it has been tough for a year and a half.
That's a good perspective that you had. My first thought was the debate about who is the worst between UCLA and OSU is over.
Well, we lost that one.
We know who the worst team is now.
Unless we beat Tech or something like that, we've lost that one.
Oh, man. Well, guys, we have come to you during an elimination game with the Yankees. We've been here for 3 to 4 innings. The Yankees went from being down 6-1 to they're now up 8-6, and hopefully they continue.
So if you'd like to stay with us for the next 3 innings.
Yeah. This is good. This is really good for our mojo right here. But I say that to say we love you guys. So if you would also love us back, like, share, subscribe, comment to show your support, give us a rating on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. Check us out on YouTube. Sign up for the chamber. Sign up for PFB Plus. All that good stuff. Marshall's got the link for you in the description.
Yeah, he's going to have the update on all the. I know everyone wants to keep talking about coaching and who's going to be the hire. Yeah. Everything is just a retread at this point. So if you want me to give you my personal top 5 or whatever, but I keep bugging Marshall with links of all these things. He's like, it's the same thing as it was last week.
Same thing again.
So,
but thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Nathan will probably have a new microphone for the next podcast. If you've heard any clicking, thanks for sticking with us through that. We'll figure it out. We promise.
We've already tried one box. We found out that box is not what it was, so we're going to move to the next one.
I apologize.
We're gonna figure it out, guys. So hang with us. We'll get it going. And in the meantime, keep those pistols firing, and remember to reload. Go Pokes.
Go Pokes.